Alright guys, here's the segment where we need more points. These four teams are going up against each other. Two teams are trying to win their division, Louisville and Cleveland, because Philadelphia and Boston don't really come down to points. We'll start off with Boston and Cleveland. The point totals are down at the right side. We'll start off with Scott Sequels. He's playing because Dave Craig got injured in the last game. He'll throw the pass deep to Randall Hill. Got the touchdown. Sequels had a really good game here as Louisville 57, Cleveland 39. Ken O'Brien over the middle to Irv Smith, getting it deep into Eagles territory. O'Brien would get sacked by Kurt Govea, and this would lead to a Ken Willis field goal make. 57-42 is the score at the very bottom right side. Johnny Bailey would get the handoff. He's over the middle, 7-3 in this game. The ball's on the ground. It's a fumble. Ball's recovered by Ronnie Lippett, and this would lead the Cleveland Cardinals on a drive in Eagles territory. O'Brien to Reggie Foghorn Langhorn in the end zone. Cleveland gets more points. 57-48 going to the Louisville-Philadelphia game. Steve Young comes back from injury. That should help Louisville. What won't help them is Johnny Johnson scampering into the end zone. 50-48 is that score of the right-hand corner. Steve Young, he needs to get some points on the board. He finds Gary Clark, left corner of the end zone. Louisville bumps themselves up 57-49. Boston Eagles and the Cleveland Cardinals. Scott Sequels on his third drive, he'll throw it down the right side to Mervin Fernandez. This game for Boston isn't as consequential. Remember, if Boston wins and Philadelphia loses, they win their division, but it's not looking like that here. Back to Philadelphia, Louisville. Down the right side to Michael Haynes. Louisville 50, Cleveland 41. Cleveland has the ball back, especially after they missed that extra point. That might hurt them a little bit as the ball is intercepted by Stanley Richard, and that's a poor performance there for Cleveland. We'll go back to the Philadelphia and Louisville game. Ricky Jackson sacks Joe Montana in the end zone, and we've got another backup quarterback coming into the game. Wade Wilson spells Joe Montana. That'll make some really hot take artists really happy, as he played really well in reserve going back to Boston, Cleveland, as Sequels throws it down the left side to Ernest Biner. He'll make it in. 52-34 in favor of Louisville. Let's see if that Joe Montana injury helps them out, as Robert Clark gets this pass down the right side for a touchdown. That'll give Cleveland a bump. Back to Louisville, Philadelphia, as Wade Wilson is inside Louisville territory. He'll throw it down the right side again to Michael Haynes. He had a great game too, jumping to make the catch. 45-41. Cleveland is getting back in the game. This would lead to a field goal by Chip Lowmiller in the Boston-Cleveland game, 45-38, which is in favor of Louisville. Steve Young, without Joe Montana in the game, would throw it over the middle to West. Let's see if Louisville can do something here. Without Joe Montana, the Hall of Famer, they might be supreme in this one. Steve Young is sacked by Ken Harvey, and this would lead to a field goal make. Louisville 48, Cleveland 38. Back to the Boston-Cleveland game. It's 24-16 here in favor of Boston. Irv Smith catches this ball from Ken O'Brien, getting it into the red zone. The flip to Marcus Allen, and he will scamper into the red zone. Great blocking into the end zone, 48-45. It's a 3-point ball game. Back to Philadelphia, Louisville, as it seems like Wade Wilson has been playing really well in this game, making everybody surprised. Over the middle to Horton to the 2-yard line, and Barry Foster's freeze touchdown. Now it looks like Cleveland has a lead. It's 45-41 in favor of Cleveland, 24-23 in this game. The throw to Ernest Biner again by Scott Sequels. Ernest Biner would make the catch, and he's in the end zone for the touchdown. Louisville gets a bump there, 41-38. Even worse here for Cleveland, as Sequels would throw to Randall Hill, and this would lower the total for Cleveland. Back to Philadelphia, Louisville, as Johnny Johnson would get the handoff already in the red zone. 7-point game down the right side. Louisville 38-31. It's 35-12 in favor of Philadelphia. But guess what? Gary Clark says, we need more points. Steve Young saying we need more points. We're losing, but we still need more points to keep ahead. Gary Anderson's got the touchdown, 35-19, back to Boston, Cleveland, as it's still a pretty big lead. Cleveland's still trying to get more points, but Ken O'Brien is intercepted again by Stanley Richards, which would lead to Scott Sequels running out of the pocket. He says, I can do this myself. Louisville's up 41-24. Boston wins 45-23. Eagles are 12-4. Cardinals are 10-6. We'll have to keep looking and eyeing this Philadelphia-Louisville game. Still 35-24. Ball's down the right side. Caught by Gary Anderson. He's unable to get anything else here. Philadelphia wins 35-19. They're 13-3. And they would win their division because they won, even though Boston won too. Congratulations to them and their head coach, Denny Green. And guess what? Because they got more points, the Louisville Lightning win their specific division. Congratulations to them and their head coach, Chuck Knoll. So if Portland wins, they are the division winners no matter what, or they have to hope that they lose by less than Boise does. Much like the last one, we need more points with Eric Pegram coming back. We'll start off with Warren Moon throwing over the middle to Rob Moore. Portland 118-113. 7-0 score in that game. Next to the New Orleans Boise game, Vardell and Emmitt Smith both come back. Will lead to Dean Biasucci kicking a field goal. It's 118-116, 3-0 in this game. Frank Reich is the quarterback. He's the comeback kid. He's coming back to Anthony Miller to the 2-yard line, and this would lead to a touchdown pass to Tommy Vardell. Portland 118, Boise 109. Wildcats Portland. The return man Tom Waddle was injured earlier in the game. We have a replacement here as he'll get the ball. Williams does as he jangles around defenders. He gets tackled here. Ball's on the ground. They're missing Waddle there. It's a fumble recovered by Thompson of the Wildcats. Warren Moon gets sacked by Howie Long, the Hall of Famer, and this would lead to a field goal by Norm Johnson, 115-109. It's 10-0 in that game. Boise, New Orleans game. As Chris Warren gets the ball down the right side, he's got the touchdown. It's 115-116 going back to Portland to Charlotte. Troy Aikman needs to get more points on the board. He's now losing over the middle to Ernest Givens. All the Givens he could get, that'll help. And then Aikman play action, rollout, bootlegs, throws it over the middle to his favorite receiver, Ernest Givens. All the Givens they could get with points, 122-116. Back to Boise, New Orleans. It's a 10-7 ball game there. Frank Reich, the comeback kid, throwing it to Derek Russell, jumping catch, and then would hand the ball off to the Hall of Famer, Emmitt Smith, and he could go all the way. He's in. 122-109 in favor of Portland, so they have a seemingly big lead. Back to Portland, Charlotte. Ernest Givens, all the Givens he could get over the middle, gets it to the 25-yard line, and it's a handoff to Eric Pegram, and he goes whoop around defenders. He's got the touchdown, 129-109. 20-point lead in favor of Portland. This will be a punt for Boise, and it'll be returned by New Orleans. Usually when we show a play like this, it's a big play or a gaff, and guess what? It's a gaff. Ball's on the ground. It's a fumble. Recovered by Boise, and it's a touchdown, and just like that, 129-116. Now back to Portland against Charlotte. 14-10. Warren Moon throws it to Rob Moore. Had a big game last week. Norm Johnson makes the field goal. Now it's a 10-point game. With the two teams at the bottom right-hand corner, 126-116. Back to Boise, New Orleans. Sticky Icky Woods catches this pass down the seam from Jeff Hostetler to the 19-yard line. Now they're at around the 16. Chris Warren gets another handoff. Get off me! Now it's a 3-point game. Back to Portland against Charlotte. Warren Moon throws it down the seam to Andre Bat. Moon rising to the 11-yard line, 126-123. This will be a field goal. It's up. It's good. It's a tie game between the two teams. fighting for that division. Back to Charlotte against Portland as Aikman throws it down the right side to Alvin Harper, and then would throw it to Harper again. He's got the touchdown. Portland takes a 7-point lead in the standings. Another punt. And will they be missing Tom Waddle in this 21-16 game between Portland and Charlotte? Yes, they do. Ball's on the ground again. Second fumble on special teams. Wildcats recover. Norm Johnson makes the field goal. 127-123 the standings down the right side. It's 21-19 in this Boise-Charlotte game. Rob Moore with another catch from Warren Moon. Play action rollout bootlegging. And then Warren Moon throws it over the middle to Rob Moore again. Now Boise takes a 3-point lead. We go back to Boise, New Orleans. And Hostetler to Chris Warren, flip to the left, 24-14 in this game. If Boise wins, they would win their division. Hostetler inside of New Orleans territory. Throw to Ben Winter Coates, and Ben Coates has the touchdown, 130-120, and Boise would win 31-14. Colts are 11-5. Tigers are 6-10. Now we're looking at this Portland Snowhawks Charlotte Wildcats game. It's a 5-point ball game. Worley down the left side, but he puts the ball on the ground. He coughs it up. It's a fumble recovered by Al Smith. If a touchdown is scored by Portland, they will win. Aikman on 4th down. Pressure in his face. He's incomplete. And this means that Charlotte wins 26-21. And guess what? Portland doesn't have as many points as the Colts do. So congratulations to them as they steal the division from Portland and their head coach, Bobby Ross.